And well, look at that. What an entrance, ladies and gentlemen. I got Hector who just dove right into his seat, ready for our show. Anyways, it's good to be back. Another week, getting set for a new week of the NFL. It is week 12. Okay, got that week right. 12 for all my Spanish speakers out there. That's right. And listen, this is the time, right? Thanksgiving is around the corner. And once we hit that holiday, it's crunch time because now we're getting ready for the playoffs and things are going to start dwindling down. Teams are getting eliminated. And then we're going to see a bigger picture like who's in the fight to the end. And I'm excited, Hector. Disappointed for the Giants fans like myself or us, really. But as far as the rest of the games go, I mean, it's getting interesting. What do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely is getting interesting. We're seeing teams from last year still elevating their game, and yeah, you're right. It's disappointing as Giants fans, but you know what? It is what it is. At least we're not the only ones down the bottom of the barrel. There's other teams down there with us. It's just the fight for the number one pick. So, who's really tanking? Who's really trying to save their season? We'll see. But let's just look at these teams that are really fighting for something now, who are at Thanksgiving time frame.
Well, I tell you what, biggest surprise last week was the Commanders and the Eagles. Yeah, the Commanders, they're led by their rookie quarterback, but they still hung tough. They were up 10-6 by the end of the third quarter. And then the Eagles picked it up with Saquon Barkley, which, by the way, Eagles are looking better than the Giants, and the Giants needed they stumbling on who to pick and who to let go, and all of a sudden now they're in trouble. We'll talk about that later. But Saquon Barkley's really elevated the Eagles, but for how long, right? And for the Commanders, being a young team that they are, those hanging in tough. And I see in the near future the Commanders taking over this division. But the Eagles won 26-18. Another surprise, the Falcons. I mean, Hector, we were leaning with the Falcons in the division, but they played the Broncos and lost 38-6.
Yeah, they got smoked. Yeah, they were put on the cooker, slow cooked for about 10 to 12 hours. Seriously, they were just man. Them Broncos had their field day with them at home. I mean, you picked that game correctly, so kudos to you on that one. I thought that the Falcons will try to run away with this, or at least stretch the lead in the South, but that didn't happen. They just let everybody back in it.
They went ahead and say, Kirk Cousins, we're just gonna put you down for today. And Michael Penix Jr. came in, and he didn't really show much, really, to be honest with you. I was like, all right, dude, this ain't college football,
Yeah.
right? This is not you 6 years in college football, and you think it'll do something. No, no, no. But the rushing game for Atlanta was garbage. 21 carries for 50 yards. I mean, you can't win like that. You can't. And you're asking too much for Kirk Cousins, which, by the way, only threw 27 attempts for that. You would think that with 50 yards, you have your quarterback throwing nearly 50, right? That didn't happen. The Packers barely beat the Bears. That was surprising.
Well, division game. These two teams are. I think that's the oldest rivalry in the NFL. So you really can't fault them for that much.
All right, I got you there. All right, I agree. The Lions, 52-6 over the Jaguars. I mean, is this it for uh Peterson, the head coach for the Jaguars?
Well, you would think so. I mean, Lawrence was down. Trevor Lawrence was down. I don't think it would have made a difference, because he's just a quarterback. I mean, that Jaguars defense just did not show up to that game, and Detroit did whatever they wanted to do on easy mode. I mean, whatever the mode, make them mad and that they wanted to do. So
Yeah. The Vikings won against the Titans where I don't know, like yeah, Sam Darnold, like there's something a little bit off with the Vikings. This is like the second half stretch. And well, I talked about it a couple of weeks ago
mhm.
how they were on the streak and that one loss to the Lions, and all of a sudden the Vikings can't find their identity. But I
Right.
think they're being safe because teams like the Titans, right? They're now 2-8 and they got nothing to play for. So yeah, but to be barely winning, I mean the Lions took care of the Jaguars and the Vikings barely beating the Titans. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, what else can I say? What else? The Saints beat down the Browns. I think I was wrong in that game.
Yeah, we were
Um,
both wrong in that game.
yeah,
I just thought that Cleveland was going to come out doing something, and the
I
Saints
thought
just said
Jameis Winston was going to do something. I mean, nobody did anything for the Browns.
no.
The Jets lose again. And there's news out there about how the owner wanted Aaron Rodgers benched. I don't know if all that shit is true or not, but I just find it how you say it, laughable on the whole circumstance because it's funny how when you're losing, all the skeletons come out, but when
Yep.
you're winning, nothing's said, right? And
Yep.
it's just like, oh, they're doing awesome, but who knows? I thought the game of the week that I was more interested in, besides the Bills and the Chiefs, was the Ravens and the Steelers. The Steelers, I thought they were gonna lose, and I thought that because of their easy schedule, they might be contenders. At least defensively, they're legit.
Well, yeah, because I was going to say when you were talking about Washington, both Pittsburgh and Washington went through a two-game stretch where it was going to define who they are. And
Hmm.
Pittsburgh came out on top, winning both those games, beating Washington and beating Baltimore. And Washington wound up dropping their game to Pittsburgh and dropping their game to Philadelphia.
Right.
So I think, but still, I think Washington is still in a good position to bounce back from them two good losses. Pittsburgh, they won those two games. They needed to win those two games because I think they're just kind of just floating still. Even though their record is 8-2, but to me they're not that quite of a legit contenders. You know, to even get to the AFC Championship game at this point.
Well, I
They're
think it's more sad for the Ravens because, unlike you, we're gonna have to replay what you said weeks ago with the Giants between field goals and touchdowns. Okay,
yeah,
and this circumstances, the defense held the Ravens defense. They held the Steelers to field goals.
and this
Okay,
is not the first time
one,
that the
two,
Steelers
three,
did.
4, 5, 6
Five,
field goals. Right,
6 field goals. Yeah,
right, because they lost 18-6, 16. Excuse me. Um, if you're going to win, you got to score more than 21 points. You got to. If you're going to get ready for the playoffs, you cannot afford to score less than 21 points.
and see, that's
It's
why I'm
not
worried about
feasible.
the Steelers because this is the second time they did it against the Falcons early in the year. I think it was week 1, week 2, when they kicked number of field goals and won that game. You cannot expect to get into the playoffs thinking that you're going to have all these offensive possessions and kick nothing but field goals because you're going to run into a defense such as Buffalo, Kansas City, and maybe Baltimore again that you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to be able to do this. That's why I'm saying Pittsburgh to me is not showing a legit contendership for the AFC
No.
Championship game, not
And
kicking field goals.
the Steelers look like the New York Giants, yet the Giants know how to lose the games,
Yeah.
and the Steelers are fighting to win it, right?
Their
Um,
defense is on point, though. You got to give the
yeah,
Steelers defense. Their steel curtain is
absolutely.
on point.
The Bills beating the Chiefs, giving the Chiefs the first loss. That was an awesome game on both
Great.
sides.
It was
And
awesome.
it just seems like when it comes to the last 2 minutes, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything. But I think it's good for the Chiefs to lose, not to get that off their chest, and then
Right.
maybe continue their new journey, right?
Yeah.
And as far as the Bills, I still saw some mistakes in there, man. But it was due for the Bills to win. Don't get me wrong. They were due. But there's just something that I'm like, all right, when is Allen gonna mess up? When is he gonna force it? And I think even when he ran for that touchdown,
Right.
he could have got popped a couple of times,
He could have. Yeah.
and it's like, look, we'll let you be, but it come to playoffs, oh boy, that's another level.
Yeah. See, that's why it's going. This game would have been different if it was in Kansas City versus Buffalo. I
Yeah, I
think
think so.
it would have
But
been a
I
little
tell you
different.
what, Chiefs better watch out that they don't lose another game and the Bills win out because the Bills own that tiebreaker for the
Right.
number one spot, right?
Right. Hmm.
But then again, knowing the Bills, they might lose one more game before the end of the season. So it is what it is. But another thing is that the Chiefs gonna have to look out for the Chargers because the Chargers are playing great football. Okay, on both sides of the ball. They did beat the Bengals 34-27, and it's just bad luck for the Bengals this year, right?
Yeah, but if you watch that game, the Chargers shot themselves in the foot in that second half. They about gave that game away. The Bengals just could not seem to kick a field goal, but they went
Mm.
downfield at will
Yes,
against that
yes,
Chargers defense.
that's right. I remember.
It's like,
Yep.
come on, man. And
And
here,
then
what?
go ahead.
No, it was just that's the game that you and I disagreed on, and I'm sitting there like, I'm not even. I have told my wife I'm not even a Chargers fan, but I'm getting all riled up because the Chargers can't seem to do nothing right. They gave up. They went 3-and-out with under a minute left, and it's like, how do you really do that? You got to
Right.
time management, but
Yep. And then the Texans beat the Cowboys. I guess Monday Night Football was all about the state of Texas there,
right,
and it's embarrassing um, to go out there in the second half and throw two donuts out there. This is not good for the Cowboys, not good for the organization, and it just bottom line is this: they missed Dan Quinn. I think that was a bad investment to let him go and allow him to head coach the Washington Commanders. Because if you
hmm,
see the Commanders, their season is turned around.
big time,
They was dead last place. They were like the neighbor of the New York Giants, really. Like, hey man, who you finish last or me finish last? Like, what's going
right,
on there, right? And
hmm,
he took that organization with a bunch of young folks, and he's doing it. And maybe it's the redemption for maybe he could get back to the Super Bowl and not blow up 25 points like he
right.
did while he was the head coach of Atlanta. But it is what it is, you know.
I'm really disappointed. Like, why would Michael Parsons go over there on his podcast talking about we're a good team, and we really didn't lose. He pretty much like talked about like they really didn't lose that game. They only gave up like 2 touchdowns or whatever. But dude, you gave up y'all gave up so much on that game. You're horrible. You're horrible. Okay, you're not a good team.
Horrible. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. You got the
absolutely.
talent,
The
but you don't got the
defense is
playing
not
skill.
there because they don't have the actual defensive coach. They don't have a great defensive coordinator, and they lost it. They had an
Right.
opportunity going 12-4 the last couple of times,
Hmm.
and this is it. And let's move on to the standings. And we already mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs, a loss with the Bills winning out, and the Bills could take over the number one spot. You see
Right.
the Pittsburgh Steelers 8-2. I am not, and I'm gonna tell you right now,
Hmm.
I'm not impressed with the Steelers up there. And sooner or later, they're gonna fall. I mean, that offense is not there. Like this is let's put it this way. If Pittsburgh had an offense like Kansas City, then the Steelers will be undefeated. Honestly. If the let me see, the Denver Broncos. I mean, the offense is getting better with Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix being there will make the Steelers better. It's just something off on that offense that they can't find that trigger to get the ball rolling and just roll up on people. And it's always that defense that's saving them. But you can only do so much saving.
Yeah.
So I do expect the Steelers to fall down, the Ravens to get back up and own that division. I wouldn't say that Steelers will fall down hard. I still feel like they're gonna have a winning season. Matter
They
of fact, they're
should.
already there.
They should
So
be undefeated, to be honest with you,
mm,
because the Steelers
yeah.
lost back. Their 2 losses were back to back. They lost
Hmm.
at Indianapolis and they lost at home to the Cowboys. 2 games that they just shot themselves in the foot on defense. And of course, because their offense doesn't know how to produce points, that
Hmm.
was their downfall.
Right, right.
You can't.
What else? I do see. I've seen a lot of Broncos games, and I know I have a buddy of mine, mi compadre over there, in New Britain, Connecticut, that is a big Broncos fan, and he keeps telling me that Bo Nix suck, right? Bo Nix this, but man, that he's terrible. I was like, dude, he's a rookie. Let him be. He'll get there. Well, he always overthrowing his receivers. Okay. But man, if you've seen him the last couple of weeks, Bo Nix has been on fire, and he's managing the game. He's listening to his coach. I said that Denver Broncos was going to be out. I'm not convinced now. I think that the Broncos are safe and maintaining in the playoff bound. I really do.
The only team that okay, the five losses the Broncos got, they only experienced a blowout in one of them, and that was against the Ravens. The
Hmm.
other four losses were one score games. They should have beaten the Chiefs, but the field goal was blocked. Okay,
Right.
and then they lost by a touchdown to the Steelers. They lost by 6 points to the Seahawks. These are close games that this rookie quarterback is doing well against these teams they opposition against. So the Broncos are doing good. I think that 6-5 record is pretty good for Bo
I
Nix.
think it's outstanding for Bo Nix. I mean, look, I mean, it's not as the Washington Commanders, right? But you're absolutely correct, man. Absolutely. Uh, can the can the Miami Dolphins make a run now that Tua is back? Could the Indianapolis Colts turn things around? I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, and we've seen it already that the teams that are in the playoffs, there's always ones or twos that drop, right? And there's always that team that surprises us that make it in there. So
Now,
I'm curious. I'm just curious right
I
now.
am kind of concerned because you look at it, they got 6 wins. Four of those wins all came against the NFC South. They swept the NFC South
Oh,
this
that
year.
is correct.
So
Absolutely.
now you take those 4 wins away, they're 2-5 against everybody else. So are they playoff ready against the teams above them because they already got blown out by Baltimore?
Oh, nah,
They
nah.
already
I think
lost. They lost to Pittsburgh already.
they could be on the road and and get whooped and be like, "Hey, thank you for coming. Have a nice day."
So they look like they could be playing one of these teams again.
Right,
How are you going to be able to bounce back from that
right.
regular season loss?
Moving on to the NFC, Detroit Lions look like the most favorite out of them all, but the Eagles are on that win streak. The
Yes,
Eagles are making noise. They fly, Eagles fly.
yes,
And there's a gap because the Lions, Eagles on top, and then everybody else is in the bottom. And the reason why is that the Minnesota Vikings are 8-2, but they only could be in the wild card spot, right?
correct. Yeah,
And then like the Arizona Cardinals, the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, um, it's anyone's game when those two divisions, the South and the West. The West surprises me because I thought 49ers was gonna take it automatic, but with injuries, and then it's like these plays, like they just give momentum to the other teams to stay in the game, and
yeah,
it's biting them right now. I mean, look at it. 49ers are 1-3 in their division.
yep,
Okay. The Cardinals, I mean, they only played 2 games. So that means it's hell week coming up or many weeks because we're almost to the end of the season. All those games are going to go against the West teams, right?
right.
And they're sitting at 2-0, surprisingly. And I still don't think the Arizona Cardinals is that good enough. So I'm safe to say it'll be between the Lions and Eagles. I feel like the Lions themselves, at home field advantage, they're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because you look at the next 3 games for the Cardinals. Two of those 3 games is against the Seahawks,
Oh,
and then
and they're on fire. You see that game? Oh, you're
again,
just getting by at the very end over the 49ers.
yeah, and then we just got a little mixture. Throw the Minnesota in the middle of that. So
Right,
a lot of playoff implications when it comes to these teams playing each other. Especially for seeding. So Arizona, yeah, I mean, look, you got the whole West and NFC West up there in the
right.
top 10. So that tells you that the
Enough
West,
cushion. There's enough cushion in the NFC for their top seven. The top seven are 2 games above everybody else, right? The Commanders dropped down to the 7th seed just because they lost the first place to the Eagles. Green Bay making noise. So there's a lot going on here, and that will lead us to our predictions.
yes.
Yeah. We got this Thursday night game. Excuse me. I was about to say Sunday night, but no, we're not there yet. Um, but let's go ahead and tune in to the Steelers versus the Browns. Um, I mean, we blew it last week, so I got a feeling I know who you're going for. Um, but what's your take?
Look, I'm going with the Steelers in this one, but look at the last five home games for the Browns against the Steelers. They're 3-1-1. So this is not going to be an easy game for Pittsburgh. As I stated before we came on the air, it is light snow. It is 37 degrees game time temperature with the wind chill at 22. That football is going to feel like a rock. Okay, so if there's going to be passing, there's not going to be a lot of passing because Jameis Winston, he likes to throw that ball a lot and he gets a lot of yardage. But at the same time, he's taken, I think, like 8 sacks in the last 2 games. Okay, so this could be an all low scoring game tonight. I see, with the Steelers defense taking down Winston. And of course, Russell Wilson, he just loves to get sacked. He got some kind of sign on his back that says, sack me, you know. And so I don't see a lot of scoring in this game, especially with the way that Mother Nature's playing with the weather here. But give me the Steelers in a low scoring game tonight to beat
All
the
right,
Browns.
I got you. I predict it might be a 15-10 game. How about that?
No, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
I'm gonna take the Steelers myself on that one.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, Cleveland's offense is just horrendous against that defense that's just nasty. Steelers defense is on.
Nasty. And they probably gonna be enjoying that snow, man. I'm telling you that right now, man. Yeah, it's all good. Let's go ahead and move on to our 1 o'clock game on Sunday. The Buccaneers on the road at MetLife Stadium against the New York Giants. The Giants announced that they're benching their starting quarterback, Daniel Jones, and that's a wrap. They're going to save their money. So guaranteed the New York Giants will draft a quarterback. The question is, which quarterback? But we will get that later on.
Yeah,
Your take on this game against the Bucks?
I'm really surprised that both these teams are on a losing streak. The Giants on a 5-game losing streak. The Buccaneers on a 4-game losing streak. I don't believe it, but
I do.
but I don't. I'm surprised from the Buccaneers standpoint that they're losing like this.
Look, the Buccaneers were dealing with injuries, right? They don't have their 2 top wide receivers. Their linemen are banged up. It was expected to be this way, and we're hoping that they get themselves healthier, getting ready here on out. And that was the reason why they lost 4 in a row. But with all the injuries, you're talking about losing by 10 to Baltimore. And that was 41-31. You're
Yeah,
talking about Atlanta 31-26.
yeah, they're
Kansas
putting up the
City in
points.
overtime,
Right.
right? Overtime. And then they lost by a field goal against San Francisco.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're getting blown out. It's
Right.
just they just got bad luck. They can't finish the game.
They putting up the points is just they just falling short. Unlike the Giants who are averaging 10 points a game, that's embarrassing.
Go
Okay.
ahead, say that again. That's
That's
embarrassing.
embarrassing. So give me the Buccaneers in this one.
I'm with you all the way. I'm taking the Bucks, and believe it or not, the Giants have lost 2 in a row against the Bucks.
Hmm.
The last time they were at MetLife Stadium was year 2020, about in the month of November, and they had lost 25-23. I won't be surprised. It might be a close game. At least it's not in Florida where they get blown out. That's guaranteed there. But I
Yeah.
do expect a little bit of fight for the Giants moving out and on here. So I'm liking it right here. The Vikings on the road against the Bears. Their favorite 3.5.
I like the Vikings. Look, the Bears are just falling apart. They're losing in heartbreaking fashion here, and Caleb Williams is trying to stay afloat with this team. I'm and I know they got a new offensive coordinator with Thomas Brown over there. So, I mean, and then the Vikings on top of that, I think they're like tied or even third in the NFL in sacks this year. So I don't see much what the Bears can do at home in this game against this Vikings defense. I really don't.
Oh, they're at the Bears, right? They're at
Yeah,
Chicago.
they're at Chicago. Yeah, it should be a one-score game, I think. But I just don't see how the Vikings are going to screw this up. If they do, they don't deserve to make the playoffs. They really don't.
Damn. It's like that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man. I was really gonna go the other direction for some reason.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I don't know. I'm gonna call the wild card on this one.
yeah, okay. I
I'm
respect
a,
that.
Nah, I gotta do something here. I think it's too much. Listen, the spread is I said was 3.5.
Yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't tell me there's enough confidence. And you talk about Sam Darnold throwing 10 interceptions
right.
already compared to Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams like to do too much. I think this is the time they gotta slow it down.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take the Bears on this one. I'm gonna think a big upset. The Bears beats the Vikings at Soldier Field. Let's get the pre-Thanksgiving dinner going on there in Chicago.
there
I'm
you
down
go.
with that.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do this. Yeah, yeah. Not like I got anything to lose now. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Lions, on the other hand, versus the Colts. Oh man, I tell you, it's gonna be a great game. Great game
Uh,
indeed.
yeah, sure. I mean, the way the Lions have manhandled the AFC South this year. I mean, good night.
They're
I
gonna
mean,
guarantee beat the Colts on this one.
yeah, they are, and I see it more than 7 points. They might just pick up where they left off with Jacksonville last week. For
You know
real.
what? You go ahead and change the what's that called? The spread. Make yourself some more money. I'll put minus 14 against the Colts.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, yeah. They got
Let,
Anthony
well,
Richardson
yeah,
there.
we'll see if he gets tired and don't want to play. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and move on to the Patriots and the Dolphins. This is a little bit interesting to me.
Yeah. I see this being a good game. I really do. And I started thinking about this, but you know what? I can't bet against Tua right now. Double T. I call him Double T. They figuring it out again. They got him back at quarterback. I mean, they're just figuring things back out. And, I like the way the Patriots are playing with Drake May. They're doing they're doing things well in New England. They are on the right track, but that track is still bumpy, and they still got a couple of low tires that they got to air up. But
Mm.
yeah, and so
The last time the Patriots won in Miami was 2019. The Patriots
yeah,
won 43 to nothing.
right. So the Dolphins won the last four home meetings again in this series against the Patriots. So I see that trend happening to continue. So give me the Dolphins to win this game.
I'm with you. I'm taking the Dolphins myself on that one. Good call. Good call. Let's go ahead and move on to the Cowboys and the Washington Commanders. I'm surprised on this one because the game started at 9.5. Now it's at 10.5. So it's like I am convinced that the Commanders are going to win. At least that's what the bookies are saying. What's
Yeah.
your take?
No, I agree with the bookies. Look, Washington had two tough games and they lost them both. Um, Two heartbreaking close games. I think they get back on track in this game. Dallas is just spiraling downhill, on defense, offense. Cooper Rush doesn't seem to be the answer. He just seems to be somebody that's keeping them trying to keep them afloat. They can still put points on the board, I think. I don't know. It's just kind of questionable. You know, Look, I don't know. People say that we're Cowboy haters. Well, look, we're not.
We've
They
been
just,
telling the truth from the beginning.
that's it. And I don't think anything is going to change between last week's loss at home against Houston to going now to Washington, who's looking at a promise going into the playoffs. So Washington has much more to play for here. I don't see Dallas doing anything to disrupt Washington's chances of making the playoffs. So yeah, I think Washington wins this game.
The Cowboys, I'm looking at their last 5 losses, right? Detroit, San Francisco, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Houston.
And
On
what,
the
four of
other
them were
side,
blowouts?
yeah. And then the Commanders, they're on a 2-game losing streak. They lost to Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I knew that was gonna happen because you talking about them winning games against teams under 500, like Carolina, Chicago, and the Giants, all 3 straight games there, right? So they
Mhm.
looking fly. But man, can the Cowboys just lose the rest of these games though?
And see,
Does
that's
that
what
make sense?
I started thinking about that. And I don't want to jump the gun. We'll talk about that game next week with the Giants and the Cowboys, but I can't really figure out which one of these two teams are really trying to tank the worst. I really can't tell because this is unlike the Cowboys to play. When was the last time we actually seen the Cowboys play like this? You
Back
see what I'm
when
saying?
Troy Aikman was the rookie,
Exactly, exactly. Back in the early '90s.
right,
Okay, exactly. I think they had like a 1 in 15 year,
right,
something like
yeah,
that. Where they
yeah.
they only beat Washington that year.
And they sold everybody, well, all
Right.
these top players to get the pretty much what the
Okay.
Washington Commanders are doing this time around,
Right.
right?
So it's
Yeah.
it's very, we're not used to seeing Cowboys lose at home a lot, especially the way they have been, because they've been
Mhm.
on point last year. I think they went undefeated at home, and so now we're looking at the Cowboys as a joke, as a team that you want to play, to get that victory, to add to your playoff
Right.
wins. So that's what Washington's got here. So I can't even call the game next week, Cowboys and Giants. That's sad. But we'll talk about that next week. I
So
don't
you
know.
got the
Are the
Commanders.
Cowboys trying to tank? Do they really need a number one pick?
I don't I don't understand what they need if they've already signed Dak Prescott to a
Exactly.
new contract.
Exactly. Exactly. So why would they play for that
And
number
then
one?
all of a sudden, I think wasn't it a hamstring and then all of a sudden he's out for the
Yeah.
rest of the season?
Yeah.
Really?
Hmm.
That bad?
Yeah.
I just don't understand how that goes. I don't, it's almost like, yo, you lying to me? You're lying to me. You just don't want to deal with the media. I don't know. There's just something iffy. I mean, a lot of people have dealt with hamstring injuries and they seem to come back. They just don't run all the way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's
But
just
even if
something's off.
he doesn't need to come back, even if he can't come back, he don't need to come back. This season is a wash.
Mm, mm,
Sorry.
mm, mm.
Yeah, and even though Washington and Dallas have split the last 6 meetings in Washington, this is a no-brainer today. I'm sorry. This game right here is a no-brainer. Washington will bounce back and win this game. They'll get back to it. I mean, not that they're going to get back to playing the way they have been, because they have. They just lost to two good teams. They're not losing to a Cowboy team that's depleted. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. I
All
can't even
right.
give the Cowboys a chance in this game the way they're playing.
All right, man. I'm gonna take the Commanders on this one. I just don't like neither team anyway. I mean, we're the rivals, right? So it
Well,
is what it
both of them are.
the Chiefs on the road against the Carolina Panthers after coming out of the loss against the Bills. I think that was just a loss that they needed. So I'm taking the Chiefs over the Panthers.
Over the Panthers, who have won two in a row? Come on now. Be careful with that.
Yo, they beat the Giants. Okay.
I'm just messing with you. Look, there's Kansas City's going to get back on their winning ways, and that it wasn't a fluke that they lost. It was just a good loss to a good team on the road, and so you get to just go down the road to Carolina and go pick up the dub over there. That's okay. You got that win.
Titans against the Texans. Texans 7.5 favorite, and they beat the Cowboys.
Did they beat them, or did they spanked them and put them in their room and locked the door?
Yeah, this is one of those victories. I'm like, was it worth the victory? Right? Just saying, was it worth it? I don't know. But right now, the Texans have a 3-game winning streak against the Titans.
Hmm.
Can they make it 4 in a row?
Oh yeah, I think so. And the Titans have lost what, four of the last 5 games by 10 or more points, by double digits. So I think Houston will continue that path right there and just beat
They
them again.
lost 10 points against Minnesota last week, 10 the week before. They did beat New England in overtime, and then they got spanked by Detroit and Buffalo. So their season don't look good. And if you want to talk about it, against contenders, the Titans don't do so well. I'm taking the Texans.
I got the Texans also.
Fair enough. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game. I think this is the game of the week, despite that the record doesn't show it. But the 49ers versus the Packers in Green Bay. Packers are favored by 3.
I know this was a game that I was really kind of like. Uh, I
Yeah.
was hesitant on this one, seriously, because on paper it looks like the Packers are going to walk away with this game.
But there are games that haven't been that convincing.
Exactly. That's what I'm worried about. Hmm. And
Mm-hmm.
so looking at all these slate of games for the week 12, I was like, there's got to be this one game that, I got to be able to see something different than what everybody else is looking at here. And so I am so with and it wound up coming down to this game. I kind of overlooked it, but then I went back and looked at it, so gave it a second look. But you know what they say in the test. If you what's that saying that they say? I'm sorry, I'm just going to mess it all up. Um, I forget
Don't
what it.
second guess yourself.
Yeah,
Just go
yeah,
with it.
pretty much. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much can't do that. So I'm not going to second guess myself here. I'm going with the 49ers in this one.
Oh, I
Uh,
hate you. I hate you.
Call
I hate you. I hate you.
call it an upset. I don't know, but the 49ers are in desperate mode right now. Um,
Man, I had that pick.
well, yeah, then you should have talked first instead of letting me go first.
No, I was hoping you say Green Bay.
No, because everything looks just too obvious on
Well, I
paper.
picked the 49ers for this reason. The 49ers have won two in a row. Okay.
Mhm.
And both of them are in the playoffs. Imagine that.
Right.
So, that's the playoffs. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just don't think the Packers can bring up a lot of pressure on defense to get the Brock Purdy. I
I,
just
I,
don't
I
see
was
it.
about to like call myself out on this game.
Well, you still got a chance if you want to, but I'm sticking with the 49ers in this one. I think they go to Lambeau Field and they pull out a one-score victory on this game.
Let me see. The 49ers coming out of loss against Seattle. There was something at the end. Matter of fact, that was in San Francisco that happened, right?
Right. Yeah.
They beat Tampa Bay, they beat Dallas, they lost to Kansas City, they beat Oh yeah, so they split with Seattle. They're
Right.
the road teams. The Packers barely beat Chicago. That's the scratcher, and then they ended up losing to Detroit.
And they lost
Yeah,
to San
I'm taking the
Francisco.
49ers. I'm not. I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna be like you right now. Like, don't second guess yourself. Go ahead. Go with the flow. I got the 49ers. You got the 49ers. We're gonna put this to rest before we start changing our minds. Broncos -6 against the Raiders. I got the Broncos. I think they're hot. I think they're ready. But if you're a betting man, I'm gonna tell you this. There's just something about this rivalry that the Raiders play a little bit different when it comes to the Broncos. Okay.
That's
This
true.
game is a little bit special. So if I'm a betting man, I'll be careful with the -6. Maybe they win by a field goal. Maybe it's just maybe 4 or 5 points here and there. But that, I don't know. It just looks a little bit off for me. If I'm money line it, I'm taking the Broncos to win.
Yeah, I'm taking the Broncos to win. I mean, the last two games, Bo Nix has averaged over 260 yards a game, and I mean that's pretty impressive to me. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, I believe. So I think that, and I believe they won the first meeting, right? They did beat the Raiders. They have already beat them, I believe.
Oh, I don't know. Let me check that one.
I think they did.
Denver. There we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
So the Broncos won 34-18 in
Okay, see.
October 6th, right? But it's like, again, like,
Yeah,
just because that happened, it's just this is
doesn't
a
mean
rivalry game. So which team is gonna make that adjustment? And I'm gonna tell you right now, with the Raiders, like, they're scoring low. Like, they're not scoring enough points. And the Broncos, man, you went back to back against Baltimore and Kansas City. You get blown out by the Ravens. You fix yourself. You're going against the
Mhm.
defending champs, losing 16-14, and then you manhandled the Atlanta Falcons,
Right.
right? I think they're in good hands
With
and be
Allstate,
able to handle the Raiders.
they got Allstate.
Yeah, they got Allstate, man. They're they're well insured. Yes. The Cardinals favorite to beat the Seahawks. I
Oh,
disagree.
and I agree with you. After how Seattle did
Ah.
did what they did last week, I mean, I think you'll make this a pick'em game. Honestly, I don't see
It
this.
is
So
absolutely.
and this is just going to heat things up with the
The
Seahawks,
heat is on.
with Seattle winning this game at home. and then the 49ers pulling out the upset win in Lambeau Field, you're just making the West even tighter.
All right, watch this. You ready? You're talking about the Cardinals beating the Chargers after they had their bye week, right? So the Chargers was not in sync that much. Then you went ahead and beat Miami, Chicago Bears, the New York Jets. All right, congratulations. That don't mean crap. So for the last 3 weeks, you ain't do nothing.
Right.
You're playing against teams that were like, all right, man, you can have this. All right. But Seahawks were playing with fire where they could have just fell on their backs and not do nothing about it. They came back in the less than a minute of the game and winning, not giving the San Francisco 49ers a chance with 3 seconds left. So, yes, Seahawks on fire.
I'm
They
just
better not disappoint.
I'm just concerned because Seattle's lost 4 consecutive home games this year. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, but look who they're losing it to, though. The Rams are still competitive. That game went to overtime. They
Right.
lost to Buffalo. They
Right.
lost to San Francisco.
Right.
All
And
right.
then they lost to the New York Football Giants.
Oh, yes, they did. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So they're
But that
two
was
and
their first.
four.
Oh, they lost to Detroit. No, I'm sorry. That was
No,
on the road.
yeah, that was on the road.
So they lose to the Giants first, then the 49ers, then the Bills, then the Rams.
Right.
Mm.
No, I mean, I'm thinking they can get out that funk, okay, because they only have two more home games, and both those home games are going to be against Green Bay and Minnesota. So that's going to be tough. So they know this is a must win situation, because you're winning, but you're winning on the road. You can't expect to continue winning on the road. You got to get some home wins in there, you know, and your two home wins came early in the year. And so I think this is a pick me up game to get out that funk at home and make the ship tighter in the AFC West. But I'm still staying with Seattle.
All right. Fair enough. How about the Eagles and the Rams?
I love this matchup. Sunday Night Football.
I'm taking the Eagles.
They're on their A game right now. They got Saquon Barkley, who I think is second in the NFL in rushing yards. Until they show me otherwise, I think they're playing in sync. They're on one accord right now. So I got the Eagles over the Rams.
All right. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. And finally, on Monday Night Football game, the Ravens versus the Chargers.
Oh, this is easy. Just give me Coach Harbaugh and his team. I mean, this is just going to be.
Hold on, I didn't even get to write their names on here. The Ravens is actually favored to win this game.
I see why. After the way the Chargers played against the Bengals last week, they shot themselves in the foot with their own gun. They did a Plaxico Burress and almost lost that game. Okay, I just think the Ravens are just more of a mature team than the Chargers in this situation. I really do. I don't know what to say about the Chargers. They have gotten lucky. They've gotten lucky.
The Chargers better have their defensive lineman ready for Derrick Henry. That's one.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Wow. Yeah, they blew a 27-6 lead. The Bengals ended up tying it. And then at the last, J.K. Dobbins with the 29 round. Oh, man. Oh, that was devastating. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. It's like you played a
Well, this is brother versus brother.
yeah, and Jim has
And this
never
has
beaten
got to
John.
be a redemption, man, because
Yeah,
we saw this at the Super Bowl.
yeah. Jim has never beaten John. He's never beaten his big brother John. He's never have. So this could be his chance to finally beat his big brother in an NFL game.
A big shout out to Champy. He's going for the Cardinals in his game. Good luck to you. I think I picked them to lose.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in this one, I'm going with the Charger. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going with the Ravens. Excuse me. I'm
I'm
going with
going
the
for the
Ravens.
Chargers. I'm going for the home
All
team.
right. Well, you're going for Harbaugh. I'm going for Harbaugh. One of us is going to win.
We're going for hardballs all the way.
I like
And
it.
not it sounded like hard balls, but it's hard ball. No L. No L. but I
Yeah.
get the dubs. Got him.
You're gonna need them. You're gonna need both of them.
All right.
You need
Well,
two to
that
complete a set.
well, the game's already started over there, and I'm about to tune in. But before we do, I would like to say thank you for listening to our All Four Downs podcast. We'll be back next Wednesday. That's right. We will not be on air next week because it is Thanksgiving. And
Yes.
of course, for everyone, if if you missed our show, go ahead and you can tune in to your favorite podcast platform and listen to All Four Downs, or you can replay this on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button and leave some comments. Let us know which teams are you going for and who's going to win this week. Is it me or Hector? I know I'm losing every week for some reason, but sooner or later, like the rest of these teams, I got to bounce back and win, right? Oh, absolutely. So let's do this like Brutus. Yeah. Thank you for watching. And if you're into WWE and everything else, you could tune in later on at 9 o'clock to tune in to the HHW show. That's happening in about half an hour from now, top of the hour, 9 o'clock. Can't miss it. Thank you.
Peace.